Welcome back to another episode of WATTPOD And what we have here today, again, as we said in one of the previous episodes, what we will start doing is a lot more different things. And the reason why is because we want to give more benefit to our lovely viewers and listeners, and to actually understand like what does it take and what do you have to do in order for you to start a business in the year of 2023. And one very important thing that you need to do in order to start a business in 2023 is actually set goals. And what we're going to be doing here today is for you to actually, because you already know what it takes to set goals and what you got to do in order to set, and what is it that you got to do to set goals. However, one of the major problems that we often arise with is actually completing those goals. And if you have listened to one of our previous episodes, we actually spoke about on how you can actually start breaking them down. And James Edwards, the life coach, the mindset coach, he stated that it's very important that you break it down. And for you to be able to break it down, you need to make it into actionable tasks. And this is exactly what we're going to be doing here today. And so I think let's just straight go into it. So the method that I'm going to be showing you today is something that we've actually incorporated within WATTBA quite early on, and it has been very successful for us when it comes to reaching our goals. And of course, on the way, mishaps happen. Certain things tend to happen here and there, but with this method, you can actually pick up on these mistakes and start performing certain tasks in order to correct them. And the method I'm going to be showing here today is actually is a method that gets used in the tech world quite a lot. It gets used in project planning quite a lot, and it's something actually that I've incorporated into my lifestyle itself as well. So, first of all, setting goals. When you set a goal, one of the major things is it's quite a high goal that you set, and that high goal is quite hard to reach. And in order for you to reach that goal, you need to make smaller, actionable goals, i.e. actionable tasks that you can do either on a daily basis, hourly basis, weekly basis, depending on how much of how long you want the term to be. I would strongly advise do not take it out to months, because then again it will just become more of a higher goal, which you should then break down even further. However, what we'll do today is take you through an example on how you can set a certain goal. So one of the examples I'm actually going to take you through today, it can be any example really. You can do it for real estate. You can do it for like a shoe brand that you want to sell. But one of the examples I'm going to take you through today is potentially, let's just think about something. How about, because we're WATTBA, we'll do an app. What do you have to do to set a goal in creating an app? So let's just call the app itself. Let's just call it new app. Okay, so this is your overarching goal, and this goal itself is something that you want to reach. However, in order for you to be able to reach it, you need to start breaking it down. In order for you to break it down, you got to identify not necessarily actionable tasks, but certain goals that you can achieve in a certain time period. And that time period can be set depending on what the actual goal itself is. So since we have that goal itself, so what we'll do, we'll create a column here. So this column over here, I hope you can see it in camera, I'll just make it a bit thicker. So this column over here will have there's still high level goals, however, they're lower levels than the actual overarching goal that you have over here. So these are, you can call it like midterm goals or Q1 goals, or give it any name that you want. But these are basically goals that you can start setting out and start breaking down into actionable tasks. So one of the examples that you can do is setting a niche. So when it comes to setting a niche, what you want to do is you attach it into this column over here. Okay? So I'm using Post-its. This is a method that I've been using for quite a long time, and those who know me, they've actually seen Post-it notes. They see it in my office space, they see it in my room. The reason why I have these is because I really like to visualize it. And in order for me to visualize, my goals and my tasks, I know and what I need to do on a daily basis or weekly basis. So this is the reason why I use posters. You can use whatever you want. Some you can use the software, which there's free software available online. I'll leave some in the description below that you can use. Or you can use even just like a whiteboard marker. You don't have to actually use you can just use the whiteboard itself. You don't have to use the posters. You can just set them out like this. But I like using posters because I like moving things around, and that's the benefit of posters. So with this posters, I set the example of niche. So the niche, what is it? You really need to understand what the niche is, what the niche is all about. So in order for you to actually understand what your niche is, i.e. what your niche of your product, i.e. the new app that it's going to be, you need to actually understand what is the target audience for your niche, right? So in order for you to reach niche, you break it down into an actual task, which is target audience. This is where you start looking into who your target audience is. You can start looking into what sort of designs they like, what sort of products they like, what are they into, and this is where you start looking into target audience. So this has become your first actionable task. Another task could be research. So again, research could mean various things, but depending on what description you give out for it, research could be something like looking into companies that are already selling similar sort of products and are selling to your target audience, or are selling it to another target audience, but your niche is becoming different and is making a different target audience. So you want to make good research on the product or what the world already has to offer, or maybe even there might be even your direct competitors. Excuse me. Another one is survey. Survey is very, very important. I think a lot of people do not realize how important surveys are. Surveys can really tell you the inside of what your people actually want. Because sometimes, especially when we were doing WATTBA, the very number one thing that we did is survey to actually understand, look, is there actually a want or need for the service of WATTBA itself? And through these surveys, we actually understood that yes, there is a need, and yes, we fully understand what kind of need there is. So surveys you can start doing anywhere you want. You can start looking either into your target audience especially, or maybe even go out of your target audience, because sometimes you may think that you have found your target audience, but through your surveys you may realize you have another target audience available, which is exactly something that happened to us. So I'll put up another post-it over here for survey. Another example is marketing test. So this marketing test itself is something that you can do quite quickly and quite efficiently as well, because using the power of social media, what you can just do a test sort of marketing boost of an ad or of some sort of post that you have, and start targeting your target audience and actually see how much engagement are you actually getting out of the people that you're talking to, the people that you want to be selling to. Now, this sort of test it doesn't have to be cost effective. You can keep it very low, because nowadays on social media, even you can start with like £7, £12 or so, and start getting some ads out, and you can see like how much engagement is there actually. So you don't actually have to have the product itself available. You can just do it via prototype and just send them off to like a link or a website that just records whether they have visited it. So marketing test is something that you can start utilizing. So notice how I had a niche as the higher goal, and then the actual task in these two separate columns. Now, this column has basically become your to-do list. These are your actionable tasks. So these are the items that you want to do, right? In order for you to start tracking these, what you can do is you can start again. You can make another column. You now have the understanding of what the certain tasks are that you want to do. And in the third column that you will have, then you call it in progress. This column over here is very, very important to you, because this is the column that's going to be telling you on what you're currently working on. In order for you to actually understand how these columns are being used, and the reason why I use post-its is because when, for example, I'm working on a task, for example, I say research, I can take this post-it over here and I just move it across into the in progress column. Now, if I'm working on research today, I don't complete it. The next day when I wake up again, I go back to my board and imagine, like, I have no clue where I was working on again. I come to the board and the very first thing I see, I can see research is still in progress. That means I know I still have yet to complete it and it's still in progress. And before I start on any other work, I know that I should be first finishing off research. Of course, there are sometimes circumstances where you could be working on multiple things at once. However, that will then defeat the objective of actually having the board itself. You want to make sure that all the tasks that you have set, they are individual to each other. They should not be dependent on each other. So when you do research, you want to first complete this and then pick up the next task. And something which I find really rewarding and which I quite find enjoyable, and again, the reason why I actually use post-its, once I have research in progress and I've been working on it and I feel like, okay, you know what, I've done it, I then have the fourth column, which I call the done column. Now the done column, once I've completed the task, what I love to do, put a big tick on it and I move it across to done. And I know that in order for me to reach my high goal and then to the actual end goal, i.e. the overarching goal, which is the new app, I've just completed my first task. Isn't that quite nice? Isn't that quite appealing for you to actually just move tasks along what you know that you've actually completed tasks in order for you to take your first step? Because most times one of the biggest issues that we face is, what is the first step that we need to take? But in order for you to take your first step, you need to start visualizing it. You need to start actually breaking it down into smaller tasks, smaller actionable tasks. And in order for you to break down these tasks, you can just start taking on either you can use the method that I'm using, where you have post-its and you make a board like this, or you can even use other methods, which there's many methods that are out there, but personally to me, this is the method I really like to use. So just as an example, just to kind of like summarize it again, what I will do is we'll have another row called the prototype row, and just to make sure that they're separate out, I'll just draw a line so that I'm not confusing any of the rows out here. So now you have the prototype. What I first need to understand what is the theme, what is the color palette that I want to do. Now, based off on the research, you can start using the information that you received from the previous task that you've completed and actually create certain other tasks from it. So for example, I want to know what the theme is. I want to set out a user experience. Like, what is the user experience that I actually want to create within the prototype? Depending on what our target audience is. A target audience that wants a lot of information, or is the target audience that wants minimal clicks? You can use that and understand what your UX is, your user experience. And then you can start even creating a UI design. I think a lot of people, sometimes they tend to combine UI and UX, which again, sometimes it's fine to do. However, I highly recommend to make sure you understand the difference between the UX, user experience, and the UI, the user interface design. And then now, because you have the overarching goal of the prototype, you have the smaller tasks being set over here. You want to set your theme, you want to create your user experience, you want to create UI design. Sometimes when you start making these goals, making these tasks, you'll realize, for example, UX, you'll start realizing, wait a minute, this is actually a bigger task than you anticipated. So what you can start doing, and the reason again why I'm using post-its, I just move them across down here, and I'm breaking down even further. See? And I just make another row. See, this is the beauty of using post-its and various other things. you can make it very appealing to yourself. Sometimes what we like to do is, instead of all being the same color post-its, you can use different colors. Or sometimes instead of actually using colors for it, post-its for it, you can just write on it, or use whatever you like, really. And so this is a method, again, that is very useful for me, that I've used doing WATTBA, and it has really worked for us. And especially when it comes to collaborative work as well, when you have partners, when you have colleagues that are working with you, or friends and family, for them to actually see and understand what you're working on, they can use this board and actually, kind of collaborate with you a lot more. Because then what happens is, they're not necessarily waiting on you to update them, they will just see it on the board itself. So I hope that this method would be very, very useful for anyone using it, and I hope that you really benefited from this as well. And I would just want to take this moment and just remind everyone that in order for you to achieve your dreams, it's not very complicated. All you got to do is take actionable tasks and actionable steps. And in order to do these, here's just the method that we just showed you. And I'm pretty sure, and I can guarantee you, if you start taking steps like these and breaking it down a lot more, you're very more likely to achieve your goal. And in order for you to fulfill your dreams, you want to make sure these are all completed. I hope that you really enjoyed this episode, and we'll hope to see you again next week, every week on Tuesday, for weekly episodes of What a Time to Podcast. Take care and peace. Hey.